Alrighty then, good evening. Tonight we're going to talk about exercising optimally, but I just want to take a minute to remind everybody that every Wednesday at 8 we are going to have these Wednesday webinars. Different topic every week. Next week is going to be balancing blood sugar. And if you missed the webinars, I will be posting the recordings onto my YouTube channel. But okay, so the reason I wanted to talk about exercise tonight is because so many people think of exercise in the wrong way. Most people think of exercise as this like daily chore that they have to do to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Unfortunately, that thinking sometimes deters the actual progress that we make in our fitness, okay? So if you think about like as you were growing up, as a child, most people are fairly physically fit at a young age. And, you know, kids don't run on the treadmill. Kids aren't at the gym, like doing bicep curls and things like that, right? Kids are fit and they seem to not gain weight and eat whatever they want. Yes, obviously because they're growing, but also because their fitness is in playing. They have fun while they're getting exercise, right? They come up with games, they play on sports teams, you know, they play in the backyard, they go on the swing set, things of that nature. Like it's not, they don't look at, oh, I have to get my exercise in today, I have to move at some point today, or I have to burn X amount of calories, right? They enjoy what they're doing and reap the benefits from it that are they can, I mean, you can see kids do like muscle ups on the rings at the playground and they've never even been taught how to do it, and then you see us as adults trying to do it and we're like totally flailing and failing. But a lot of times the reason that we totally fail at our exercise and fitness endeavors is because it's not fun. We don't want to do it, we don't take pride in doing it every day, and that leads to a lot of people quitting their different physical fitness journeys. So what I really wanted to talk about today is just really finding a joy and in a kind of program that you want to do, so that way you can stick with it, you know, and be physically fit for life and not chronically be on these, oh, it's January, I better get to the gym and run on the little hamster wheel and see if I can lose 10 pounds so that I can go back and gain it the following October. We want to create habits that are sustainable for a lifetime. And I think part of doing that is really, it's finding something that you enjoy and finding something that is optimal for your body and for your physical fitness. So let's go ahead and get into this today. All right, so we're gonna start with like, what exactly is fitness, right? So these are just a couple definitions that I took off of like Wikipedia. So these are things like being suitable to fulfill a role or task, ability to survive and reproduce when you're talking about organisms, or just condition of being fit or healthy. Now, I think that that's like a really non-inclusive definition. So I made a better one. So I think that fitness to me is one's ability to adapt, to survive, and thrive against any stressor or environment, okay? So really concentrate on those words, okay? You have adapt, meaning that you're flexible, you know, you can deal with whatever is thrown at you, and then you can survive through it to fight another day. But the last one I think is the most important word, is thrive. So you just don't want to go through life adapting and surviving, right? You want to thrive, you want to really enjoy your day truly, and you really want to have the best life possible, right? So you want to thrive. Now I want to get into this next slide here that really brings it all home. I think that this is like the most important point that I want everybody to take home today, is that we all have this spectrum, right? From sickness to wellness, and then lastly up to fitness. Okay, so most people are interested in having this like wellness care, being healthy, you know, making it through their day-to-day life. But I want to challenge everybody to taking it a step further and have your goal be reaching fitness, not just wellness. And we're going to kind of go over the difference here. Okay, so wellness is like, let's say that your everyday average healthy 40-year-old person goes into the doctor. They say, okay, your blood work is good, your weight is okay, blah, blah, blah. You don't need any medications. Here's your gold stamp, go home. Okay, well, that person might be feeling totally in the dumps. They might not feel like they have the energy to survive and thrive throughout their daily life. You know, that person might actually be completely miserable, but by all medical standards, they could be considered well. Okay, so that's what wellness kind of is. I want everybody to get to the point where they're at fitness, where they're like, I wake up every day with just this like vim and vigor to keep on going and to really tackle my day and make the most of my family, my career, and everything else. So another good thing about this spectrum is, so the further that you can get to the right on the fitness spectrum, the further you have to fall to get to the sickness spectrum, right? So if all you ever strive for is wellness and just passing your physical exams at the doctor every year, you might not have very far to fall before you hit sickness. However, if you're all the way up at at fitness, then you know you have to go all the way back to wellness and then all the way back to sickness to really fall off the bandwagon. So we're kind of just like striving to get further and further and further away from sickness as we can, right? So getting into that, like I said, fitness is your abilities to survive and thrive. And I'm going to go with that's in everything, not just, you know, your physical capabilities, but in your metabolic capabilities, in your job, in your at-home life, in your mental health, everything like that. Obviously, today we're a little bit focused on the physical side, but just, you know, like this graph definitely applies to a broad spectrum of things in the realm of health. Good. So this is a definition of fitness in 100 words. So let me just read this to you guys first. So we have eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch and no sugar. Keep intake to levels that will support exercise but not body fat. Practice and train major lifts. So these are going to be your functional lifts, which I'll go over, but like deadlift, clean, squat, presses, clean and jerk, and snatch. And similarly master different skills such as gymnastics, pull-ups, dips, rope climb, push-ups, sit-ups, presses, handstands, pirouettes, flips, splits, and holds. Bike, run, swim, row, etc. That's a mouthful, but there's a lot of different ways, obviously, to practice physical fitness. So you want to do these things hard and fast, 5 to 6 days a week, taking a rest day, which is important for your mental health, and make these 6 elements in as many combinations and patterns as creativity will allow. Routine is your enemy. Keep workouts short and intense, and regularly learn and play new sports. So let's pick this graph or this quote apart, shall we? So as you can see here, the first thing that they mention is nutrition. Nutrition is of utmost importance in any kind of fitness. As I have here, fitness is 20% exercise and 80% nutrition. So if you want more information on the nutrition portion of things, definitely click into my paleo webinar that has been posted. So as you can see here, it stresses no sugar, which again, we're going to get into balancing blood sugar next week. And As far as the exercise portion of this definition goes, as you can see that there's a ton of different movements that are involved. Okay, so I really want to stress this because a lot of people, when they want to lose weight or they want to get fit, they get these gym memberships and then they'll do something like they only run on the treadmill. Or let's say they don't like running on treadmill, so they'll only do a spin class. Or they don't like either of those things, so they're just going to do a yoga class. Or maybe they only like lifting heavy, so then they just do that. So these things aren't really going to promote overall fitness, okay? Getting in as many of these movements as possible, like in your month, is really going to promote fitness the most. Because as I said in the definition of fitness, you need to be able to adapt, survive, and thrive to any environmental stressor, right? So let's say that I just like gave you a random workout to do. And I said, you know what, I want you to go swim a couple 100 meters, you know, do a few pull-ups, some push-ups, jog for a mile, and then hit a heavy back squat. Like, how much of that would you be able to do right now? Okay. So if you're truly fit, you'll be sort of decent at all of those different movements, okay? You might not be super awesome at one or super awesome at the other, but your ability to adapt and survive and thrive allows you to at least make it through sufficiently, okay? And that's why, like, variability is key and routine is the enemy. You want to get in as many different workouts and as many different movements as you can and not just sit there and get acclimated to the same thing every single day. That won't push your physical fitness, that won't help you reach your goals. I mean, I'm a person that, like, I've done CrossFit fairly religiously for the past couple of years, and I noticed when I started taking a couple extra days off of that a week and changing it up with some different at-home routines, so some different yoga routines, some different lifting routines, just some different like plyometrics things that I've gotten, I noticed that when I actually went back to CrossFit, all of a sudden, like, I was hitting new records on a lot of my lifts when I hadn't even been practicing them. And that was because I'd been working on the variability and working different muscle groups and really working on my nutrition and different things that elevated my fitness without even just doing that one exercise that I wanted to get better at. So I hope that that makes sense, because basically what I'm saying is if you want to hit a personal record on your back squat, you might not need to sit there and just practice back squats, okay? You might need to do different things like lunges or some jumping squats or some thrusters or some yoga or some isometric holds in different positions, or you might need to work on some sprints, okay? There's a lot of different things that might help you with your back squat without just practicing a back squat. So, like I said, variability, totally key. And then I also wanted to pick out the last line in this as well, because I think that this is really important. As I said before, you need to regularly play. So whether that being like play a sport or challenge yourself with learning like a new technique. Like, for example, I really would like to try like Tai Chi or some kind of martial arts thing. And I think that, you know, when you're constantly learning new things and learning new skills or becoming parts of different gyms, then that keeps you motivated, that keeps you going and keeps you honest on your physical fitness regimen. Whereas if you're just paying $10 at Planet Fitness every month, you're going to get bored and you're probably going to quit unless you're like a super, super dedicated mental power that I don't have, because I have to keep variability in my routine and I have to have people there keeping me accountable and make exercise fun. And that's, you know, a lot of the reason that I've joined things like CrossFit and Beachbody is because it keeps me accountable and it makes exercise more fun. So let's get a few slides in here. All right, so Here is a list of general physical skills. And so I want you guys to think about how many of these do you work on a regular basis, okay? Because all of these physical skills have to do with fitness, okay? Fitness is not just your ability to get out and like run a marathon or something, right? Like a lot of those people that could do that, you know, you might put them in a different gym setting and they would totally fail, right? Because cardiovascular endurance is not the only part of fitness, okay? So you have obviously the cardiovascular, which is the generic one that most people know, okay? I need to get fit, so I'm going to go running. Pretty self-explanatory. You have stamina. So that's going to be like your ability to go for long periods of time. So let's say I told you, like, we're going to go on a 10-mile hike today and put on a weighted backpack. Do you think that you'd be able to do that? So in order to get stamina, it's not like you have to be doing a 10-mile hike with a backpack on every day, okay? Like I said, when you're varying your routine and trying a lot of different stuff, you know, you're going to gain fitness, you're going to gain that ability to adapt, survive, and thrive. And then if I throw that 10-mile hike at you, you could probably handle it. Okay, because I know I haven't done a hike in a while that's that long with the backpack on, but if I randomly go out west, I can pretty much hang with the people that are good at that. Number 3 is strength. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory as far as like lifting weights, things of that direction. Flexibility. Yoga is super awesome for that. I think that it is probably the best way to gain flexibility and range of motion. Stretching, always great. Unfortunately, most people skip it unless it has like some sort of direction. And I just want to take a minute to kind of go into yoga as well. Yoga is not only about flexibility. Okay, yoga is almost like a healing art, much like I know a lot of the martial arts are as well. It's more than just about getting exercise fitness. It's about getting mental fitness as well. It's about getting mental strength, getting calmness of mind, really learning to breathe through pain and overcome obstacles. And that's only touching on the surface of the, you know, healing abilities of like things like yoga and martial arts. But I just wanted to bring that up because it really is a powerful thing, and not to be corny and say that you have to go like worship the sun god or something. It is awesome for your health and it is awesome for your fitness, even if you just add it in a couple times a month. All right, going into number 5, which is power. So power is going to be your ability to move a load like with speed and direction and intent. So an example of power would be like, okay, if you're doing an Olympic lift, like you're lifting a heavy weight from the ground and throwing it up overhead, or maybe you're doing a sprint. Things of that nature are going to generate a lot of power, okay, because you're putting a lot of energy into a small, compact thing in a small amount of time. Number 6 being speed. Obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. 7 is coordination. So this is huge. See, surprisingly, a lot of problems with coordination. It's amazing how many people can't even perform a squat, like an air squat, correctly, because it requires a lot of muscle coordination that we totally lose when we become couch potatoes. So even just practicing, you know, a squat getting on and off the couch is going to help you with coordination and making your movements fluid and safe so that you don't get injured. Okay, the whole point of being sort of good at all 10 of these is so that you don't get injured, because it tends to be when you're really good at one of these and not any good at the other ones, that's when people end up with injuries and surgeries, right? So you get these people that are like, I can back squat 600 pounds. They're super, super strong. Let's say their flexibility is not so good. Their cardiovascular is not so good. They might end up with heart problems eventually and knee surgeries, things of that nature. So you really need to work on the other aspects to kind of prevent yourself from getting into a position where you're going to get hurt. Number 8 being agility. Agility kind of going along with coordination. So my best example of agility is doing like ladder drills, where you're really looking at like, foot coordination, hand coordination, being able to move quickly through movements while keeping coordinated. 9, balance. Again, kind of goes with the yoga, which is great. Balance postures are awesome for knee and ankle stability, really builds these small muscles around every joint. So anything like a plank hold, arm balances, single foot balances or moves are going to be great for this. And I think that that's made the biggest difference for me with my knee stability and balance is really working on those single leg postures in yoga, and even at the gym, just standing on a foam mat and doing different things on one leg just to work on my balance. All right, and the last one being accuracy. So accuracy being like your ability to do the same move over and over again correctly. Because if you're sitting there like flailing around trying to get, let's say, like a pull-up, and your form is totally off, and you can maybe do one rep correctly and then the rest of them are super sloppy, that's totally gonna predispose you to getting injured. And if you're injured, it makes it really hard to get fit, right? So working on doing things correctly over and over again is always helpful. So these 10 physical skills are definitely super important for gaining physical fitness and preventing injury, is what I'm trying to say. And there are so many different exercises that incorporate a number of these skills. And so that's why it's important to do the different exercises, right? Because if you're a runner, you're going to work on number 1 and number 2, right? If you're a weightlifter, you're going to be doing 3 and 5. Okay, if you're a yogi, you're going to be doing mostly 4 and 9. Okay, so that's why it's good to do different exercises so that you're getting different ones of these numbers in on different days of the week, and that's really going to put your body in the best position. Okay, I know I mentioned play already, but I just want to bring it up one more time just because I really do think that this is important. Just going into like the psychology of whether programs work or not and people's ability to stick to programs or not, it is so mental. And a lot of it is if you think that there's no pleasure in exercise and that it's a job, you're never going to want to do it. It's going to be like punishing your brain every day. Whereas if you find something that you really enjoy, it's going to be something you look forward to every day, right? So let's say you really, really like dancing or something, or you really like kickboxing or CrossFit, or you like volleyball or softball or soccer. If that's the sport that you like, do that as exercise and you'll be so much more likely to keep going. I mean, I even look at like my friends and my parents, right? Like, I mean, my dad's going to golf and he's going to play basketball because that's what his friends do. So there's accountability there and it's fun, kind of thing. So finding something like that is really the best way to stick to a program, and I cannot stress that enough. So work out like a child and you'll be your best self because you'll enjoy it. So these are going to be my tips for success in finding an exercise program that works for you. So as we already kind of mentioned, the play part and the having fun, the next thing I want to mention is community. So as I just said, such as like my parents, my dad always shows up to golf and basketball because all of his friends are there, right? There's a community. There's somebody keeping you accountable, right? That's how, I go to CrossFit because it's a community. I'm accountable. I'm a Beachbody coach. My challengers stay with their program and I stay with my program because I'm accountable, and I know that if I don't do that, that I'm letting them down or they're going to wonder why I didn't show up that day. right? So keeping a community or some kind of accountability buddy or group of friends is really going to stick you to a program the best. So even if it's just like, I meet my friend every Tuesday morning to go for a 5-mile walk with our dogs, you know, like that's accountability. That's something that's going to keep you honest and keep you sticking to your program. Or like having a coach, you know, like putting some money in the game. There's nothing that keeps me accountable towards my exercise like putting some money in the game, right? Like when I first started, you know, doing things like CrossFit and Beachbody coaching, I was like, holy moly, I'm putting a lot of money in this, so I better show up every day. Whereas if I have like a $20 membership to Club Fitness, I don't show up that often because it's really not worth it to me because, oh, I only spent $20. So even if I don't go this month, I'm not wasting that much money. Whereas if you're spending more like $100, $150 a month, you're like, I am definitely showing up because I am not going to waste that money and just like leave that gym membership to waste. So that sounds awful, but honestly, like, I mean, it works for me. I know that. If the same thing with food and nutrition, if I have some money in the game, I'm way more likely to stick to it. And so, yeah, and then with encouragement, it's always awesome to have a coach. The coach thing kind of goes along with like the community and all that sort of thing. But, you know, me having a coach at CrossFit keeps me showing up to that sport. Me being a Beachbody coach keeps me showing up to that, and it keeps my challengers showing up every month, right? So like having a coach or having somebody that's keeping you accountable, somebody that you're sending your progress to, or somebody that is checking in with you every couple of weeks and seeing how you're doing, definitely will really, really keep you honest with your fitness and keeping things going. So that's a lot of my PowerPoint spiel for today. I think I covered pretty much everything that I wanted to. So if you guys are looking for a way to get a lot of these, you know, community, variability, nutrition, accountability, and encouragement out of your routine, definitely contact me. I can work on hooking you up with a program that's right for you, whether you enjoy dance or yoga or martial arts or lifting or strength or cardio, or a combination of those things. I'm sure I can help you find a program that's right for you and that'll keep you honest and keep you showing up every day. I am a coach. I am connected with a lot of coaches, be that for physique competitions or CrossFit or otherwise. So I can definitely help anybody find any program that they would like. And just message me on Facebook if you ever need help finding out what you want to do. So thanks a lot for listening in.